myself out of one, 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 one. There you go. Two, 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 two. All right, almost ready, almost ready. Let's see. All right, if you're listening to me, if you're watching me now, I'm the host of the Outlet Podcast. My name is Geizi, and I'm about to do a comparison about these two childhood TV shows, or movies, sorry, fail. Because I just like binged watched both of them, and it brought back a lot of the feels, but I need to choose which team I'm on. So I'm getting everything ready before I actually begin my podcast. You're catching like the live stream of it. So, alright. Let me check my headphones again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Not there yet. Come on, Lord. There, that's better. Alright, here we go. On today's episode of the Outlet Podcast, we'll be discussing which team are you on? Are you on the Sandlot or are you with the Mighty Ducks? You are listening to the Outlet Podcast. Connect and recharge. So right now, actually, I can't hear you. I can't even like hear myself because I have like the intro music playing right now. You could find me on Facebook, facebook.com/Outlet Podcast, or you can find me there on Twitter @Outlet Podcast. So I'm going to get right back into the audio. All right. Hello, everyone. You are listening to the Outlet Podcast. Connect and recharge. I'm your electrician, Geizi, and it's a pleasure to have you listening. Oh, man, let me tell you, I'm really excited about what we're going to talk about today, and I'm excited about attempting new avenues, a new approach to the podcast, because I took a little moment to myself to ask myself who I am, why do I have this podcast, what do I want to do. So I might change a little bit of the format. You'll still get the entertainment, because that's my goal. I want to be able to provide some fun stuff. I still want to do my adapter Q&A, where you can send me questions at outletpodcast@yahoo.com, or on my Facebook page, facebook.com/outletpodcast. You can send me stuff there too. I still want to do the adapters, want to do the acoustic sessions. I got my guitar ready right now, so I'm going to, after this episode, I'm going to record some acoustic sessions of like some covers that I'm really thinking of. So there's that. And I still want to do my oh man, I'm forgetting what they're called. Let me pull that. Oh yeah, I still want to do the Sunday school segments, the big screen biopsies, the game over, because I'm still gaming. I already told you about Arkham Knight, but there's some other games that I'm interested in playing. So I'm going to change the format because I feel that I can't not be who I am to you all. I can't be disingenuous. I don't want to be a host of a show that I'm totally someone else other than the person that I am. So with that said, you guys, you can find me on Twitter @Outlet Podcast, facebook.com/Outlet Podcast. Listening to me, you can listen to me on iTunes. Just search Outlet Podcast, as well as on see, iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, as well as SoundCloud. Just subscribe to the RSS feed, and that's where I am. Now, SoundCloud, SoundCloud doesn't necessarily get all of my like individual recordings because everything audio goes out to these different avenues apart from YouTube. So I'm also on Periscope. You can just find me at whatever the title is, or you find me there, Outlet Podcast. So without further ado, or whatever, that's all right. Without much aplomb or whatnot, that didn't work. No. All right, let's get into it. Which team are you on? The Sandlot gang, or are you a Mighty Duck? So right now I have interlude music playing right now. I need these little breaks because if I don't have the little breaks, I get winded. I definitely get winded. All right, you guys. I've had to watch the episode. I've had to watch the movies. I had to rewatch them because I didn't want to go based off of feels. But let me tell you, after watching both of these movies again, there were a lot of feels. Just as a ground, both movies were amazing. Both movies are great for the times that came in. For the era that they were in. They're really great movies. I will say that, there's not a lot of, there's no CG. there's not a lot of that. It's kind of kid-centered, which is something that I enjoyed, about the two franchises. And we're not, for the sake of this argument, we're not talking about Sandlot 2, Mighty Ducks 2, Sandlot 3, Mighty Ducks 3, because I think it's safe to say, I'll go off and say if we're talking about a franchise, then definitely the Mighty Ducks win. There is no doubt about it. The Mighty Ducks, as far as being a franchise, they took it there. I mean, they had Gordon Bombay. They did the whole the miracle on ice. They had that whole little similarity to the actual sports miracle on ice that happened where the U.S. Beat I think it was Poland, or the U.S. beat some team that was like very tough. If you know which team that the U.S. ice hockey men's nationals beat for, I think it's the miracle on ice they call it, let me know at Outlet Podcast on Twitter or on the Facebook page. Just search Outlet Podcast. So, just talking about these two movies, they brought back a lot of feels, and it was really great. Now, one movie, it needed to take 30 minutes into it, it needed to take off because, man, it was really, really bad. I was watching it and I was like, hold on, this is a kid's movie? I'm like, this is terrible. And so I won't get into, I'll get in first talking about The Sandlot. Okay, The Sandlot, it's a narrative story. If you guys, you can even look at my notes. I put the notes on my WordPress blog, outletpodcast.wordpress.com, or they actually go to my Facebook page. So you can even check out the notes that I've written down. So if you agree, disagree, if you think that there's something I missed, let me know, and comment on the walls. All right, so The Sandlot, it's a narrative story. So that was, pretty interesting, that's how they took it. So, yeah, and it was mostly about, It was mostly about Scott Smalls. Smalls. You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. Okay, yeah, that's one of the lines. So it's a narrative story, and one of the first players that you see is his full name, Benjamin Franklin Rodriguez. I have it down that he's the dreamboat. I think everybody, when they were growing up, you knew that there was this one kid in your clique that had the looks that you might not have been that kid, but I'm like, man, that dude gets all the girls. And I think this Benny the Jet Rodriguez, that was him. He was that guy. And in this movie, he was that kind of personality. He brought everybody together. He was the most established in the entire group. So, yeah. So that was, and he was the only Hispanic. It was pretty interesting as far as race, because in this era, it was kind of like a white, I guess you can say white America. There wasn't that many minorities. There was one who was the pitcher in the group of the Sandlot in the gang, but it was Benny. Benny was the one who even reached out to Smalls, so to bring him into the group. So, number 2, Benny the Jet is dreamy. He was the one. He was the glue that held everybody together. They made the shoe, the PF Flyer, famous. Now, I didn't think that Benny the Jet put on PF Flyers. I thought they were Chuck Taylors that he wore. Now, I'm talking about one of the end scenes of the movie where he has this vision that, Babe Ruth comes to him and he's trying to figure out, what do I need to do? And like when you were growing up, one of the other points, this is one of the points further down towards the end of the list that I wrote down. When you were growing up, there was one pair of shoes that seemed to be the shoe. When you wore that shoe, you turned into that player. When I was growing up, obviously you had Jordans. Kobe was still a rookie, and everybody wanted a pair of Kobe's. So Kobe Bryant getting his shoe, that was really important. No one really cared about the Karl Malones or the Shaquille O'Neals that you can get at Payless. And yes, I wore Shaquille O'Neals because I was like the center. Everybody wanted to do point guard, everybody wanted to shoot, but when they wanted to drive down the lane, that was me, because I just loved the fact of just stopping it right there. So I was the Shaquille O'Neal. That was my role. That was my Payless shoe. That's what I did. So everybody had that shoe. Even when I was growing in soccer, I wanted a pair of Nike R9s, which were the soccer cleat that Ronaldo wore. Not Cristiano Ronaldo, the Portuguese heartthrob that you ladies go over. Do you go crazy, ladies? Right, there's more than ladies there. Well, Cristiano Ronaldo turns on a lot of people, I guess. So yeah, you have it wasn't Cristiano. This was Ronaldo in his prime. He was amazing. He was unbelievably amazing, and I wanted to have that shoe. I never could have that shoe. Never purchased this. Now they redid the shoe. They brought it back, and it's just so expensive. It's crazy expensive. I can't own it again. So everybody had that shoe that would give you magic powers to be able to do whatever. So the PF Flyer made this shoe more famous because, if you go to the website, they still exist, and they even mentioned the Sandlot. They have a Sandlot shoe. They were like, run faster, jump higher, and there's a tag that is even from the Sandlot. So that's pretty cool. The story about a new kid coming to the neighborhood in the summer, and the magical summer that he had. That was pretty entertaining. That's kind of the premise that the movie was about. The new kid, his dad died, or I lost focus on that. I didn't catch that. And he had to begin a relationship with his new dad, who was played by Dennis Leary. Really cool dad to have. Really cool dad to have. It was pretty awkward at first for Smalls to try to, he kept on saying, Dad, Mr. Blah. So it was, I guess that could reach out to you if you have a stepdad, and how it is for you to kind of, live with that situation. That was pretty cool that it touched on that. I felt that the Sandlot definitely did a better job about being more multifaceted. as a movie because it covered so many different angles, and that's one of the that's my 21st point in this movie. It's so multifaceted, and I'll get into why it's multifaceted, but there's so like great layers, and it's not necessarily, there's no true goal for the movie. It's just like a narrative about this guy going back and thinking back to his past. So that's something that I appreciated when I was watching the movie. So this it's a simple. I loved the simple malt shop era, the sincere neighborhood that they were living in. I went online, and the malt shop, the signage is still there. I think it's everything was in Utah, and they brought all the actors back to like the Sandlot. It's pretty sad because the Sandlot itself wasn't really taken care of, so they might like the last thing that was reported was they're going to renovate and revive the Sandlot. So if they do, that'll be pretty cool. You know, America needs a Sandlot. That's my political point. That's what I'm going for, people. Yeah, America needs a Sandlot. Like every kid needs that place where they can go to play. You know, Hey Arnold even had the empty lot. When I was growing up, I used to play soccer in the front of the house, in the front. Where are you going? Go. I'm going to the front, and I would go to the front, and we would, I had a friend of mine who would start kicking the soccer ball in between these two crazy, like the trees were so far apart from each other. There was like one, I don't know how big it was, but it was bigger than like the regulation soccer goal. So that's how I played, and that's how I trained, stopping shots in between two trees, and I didn't even give myself the benefit of the doubt. Like if it obviously went over my head and way out of bounds, if there was a regulation goal, I didn't care. I was like, dang it, they scored. Dang it, they scored. And what was funny was before the apartment complex where I grew up in, before they put a fence, these two trees were in the front of the complex. So if a goal was scored, that ball was going towards the street. And many, many times that ball got run over. I'm surprised there wasn't an accident that was caused because of it. I remember a semi-truck, boom, just like ran it over and exploded. Man, and that sucked. That sucked. Like when people scored a goal, what was worse was not the fact that they scored. It was the fact that I had to go back and get the ball. So that stunk. So everybody needs a junkyard Sandlot. We all had the Sandlot. If you think back, maybe you didn't have a type of baseball field or a soccer field or something. Maybe you had just this place where you would chill and hang out. Another one of the points I wanted to bring out with the Sandlot was they had a treehouse. So there were these different, like so many different chill spots that these kids had. That's what was so awesome. Like maybe you chilled out with your friends by this power generator, or by the AC units in front of so and so's place, or in the back porch of this guy's house. Everybody kind of had that. So a lot of nostalgia when I was watching this movie. So there was like 8 kids. It was a gang. It was like Benny the Spanish kid. You had Ham. I think he called him Ham. Yeah. I loved yeah. Every time he would say something, yeah, XYZ, blah blah blah, yeah, and he would. Yeah, was awesome. The twins, the Colossus of Clout. They would repeat. That was cool. It was really fun to see the dynamic. It of a team, but not like forced down your throat. Just like natural, individual quirks. Like today, you have the Avengers, and they're super powered, blah. And, Black Widow's like a spy. This guy's like this like... they got that team. But the Sandlot, these are kids who, I mean, okay, number one, they're kids, but they're they're developed into their this who what they were saying, how they were acting, their character. That's what it was natural. You know, it wasn't something that was like a superficial change that just happened automatically. You know, it's not like Goku going Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, which is ridiculous. Like, if I gotta talk anime, I don't know. You guys don't want me to talk to anime? Okay, so I won't talk anime, but I just find it, it's a little ridiculous, that he has yellow hair. Then stage 2. All right, it's yellow, but longer. Now 3. All right, it's like a mullet long, and he has no eyebrows. Then 4 doesn't exist because GT's gone, and now he's not a monkey. Now now instead of yellow, it's purple yellow, and his eyes glow purple. And now, since he's Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, which is a lame name, now it's blue. Oh, just add colors. Add colors, guys. All right, fine. All right, fine. I won't talk anime anymore. But so I love these characters. Every one of them, how quirky they were. I loved how they were. Um, let's see. The mom. I love that the mom wanted him to make friends. She saw how Smalls, was very insecure about a lot. He's like, I want you to go get in trouble, but not too much trouble, just a little bit. I, you know, I think parents want that for the kids all the time. Not to get into like trouble where you got to call the cops, but you know, a little bit of mischief for a kid is not too bad. Just a little bit. So, back, yeah, no, 16, the kids had gangs, but they were innocent like kids would just ride their bikes and in a cluster, like just all together, and that would be the gang. That's it. Um, my point 17. The kids only had one ball. They can't play when the ball is gone. That phenomenon is lost. Oh, sorry, you guys. So, when I grew up playing soccer by myself and with my one friend, when that ball is gone, it's gone. You can't play anymore. And it's like in this generation where you got your character respawns when you die all the time, it's not like you lose anything. And what I loved when I was watching this movie is like they were so desperately trying to take care of the baseball. Like they're like Benny. There's this one scene where Benny like hits the ball, knocks it so hard that the stitching comes off the ball, and that's like crazy amazing. That's awesome. And all the kids were like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I've lived to see this." And Benny's like, "Yeah, but now we can't play anymore. I'm sorry, you guys." And it's like, are you seriously sorry? You just did like the greatest thing like, I can't say that I've seen that. I've never seen that. I don't know if it's an urban legend. Has it happened to you? Have you seen it? Let me know. I don't know. So, yeah. Back then, there was like, you always had childhood lore. There was always this, like this urban legend, this neighborhood scary thing. I remember when I was growing up, we had the crazy guy, and the crazy guy, I think he was legitimately insane or crazy. See, I can't describe it to you without bringing up the fact that it possibly existed. Like it was actually insane. I can't. Like, all right, so he was this crazy guy. He dressed unbelievably weird, and he would like be mumbling, and all the kids ran into the house when you saw the crazy guy. I think he was like 30 something years old, like this, like a masculine, like African American dude, and like I grew up in the ghetto, so all my friends, we were all multicultural. We were all cool. It was pretty sweet, but the crazy guy would come around, and we all ran away. We always ran away screaming, "The crazy guy! The crazy guy!" And like sometimes he wore like acid wash jean shorts, and day glow shirts like that were like what's that, like tie dyed like hippie shirts, which was weird. So we all had that lore. There was something there. So they had the beast, obviously. So I'm gonna get into a few of the lines, you know, like the "You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me," or "Forever, forever." That's just like so. Ugh. So the multi-layered aspect of the movie, of the Sandlot, you know, Smalls and his dad, that relationship, Benny Rodriguez being the neighborhood hero, because we all had one, you know, there was always that one guy who you knew would just be who would make it, who would just get out of wherever and he'd make it. Peppercorn, what was it? Wendy Peppercorn and Squints. Yo, my wife watched that and that she just started laughing. It was unbelievably funny because, man, we all had that. Like we, speaking myself, but I think we all had that crush on that older, you know, that the older person. Like there was always that, you always had that crush at that one older girl, and man, when I saw that, when you know when they had the pool, the community pool scene, and Squints was like, my he faked drowning, and he started like kissing this girl who was like giving him mouth to mouth, which now it doesn't exist. Now you couldn't get mouth to mouth because now the CPR is not about mouth to mouth. They're like, there's no need to do mouth breathing as long as you do chest compressions. So it was just so funny, and it was like very honest and sincere because when they all ran out of the of the community pool, you know, the fact that he turned back and he just stayed there looking, and you know, Wendy Peppercorn was like looking at him shamefully at first. You saw how sincere that his intentions were. He's like, I really like this girl, and I think we all sincerely had emotions that were like this. I definitely did. And I don't doubt the sincerity of the crushes that I've had in my childhood, teenhood years. They were real, whether they were so they were real, but whether or they were conceivable, no, maybe, you never know. So I loved it, you know, and especially the fact that she looks back, like she gives him the smile, and she puts down her like sunglasses and looks at him. I was like, oh, you go, Squints. So, you know, the layers of Smalls learning to have friends, the neighborhood kid gang, kids telling each other off without cursing. There was a quote unquote drug scene where one of the boys got chewing tobacco, and they all vomited because they were chewing the chewing tobacco on the roller, on that, like at the county fair, spin ride, because they beat a rival baseball gang. Like the you know, when I think back, me and the kids when we were growing up, we didn't have a team. We didn't have a uniform. We didn't have it wasn't like a league. I was never really in a league. But let me tell you, when we played ball, we played ball. We were great at what we know how to do. So in the movie, you know, there's some kids who are actually can afford to be on a baseball team, and they're like calling out the kids, the Sandlot gang, and the Sandlot gang just owns them. And that's how I look back, you know, I'm saying that a lot because, well, we were really good. We were great. And we played basketball shooting into grocery carts. We played basketball shooting in between two monkey bars, like on the set of monkey bars, but you would try to shoot right in the middle, and have it not bounce around like Plinko, but like hit that one. So when we were ballers, we were ballers. We were serious about it too, and we didn't play like we had to play basketball on the grass where the monkey bar was. So we were practicing dribbling in super hard conditions. We were amazing at those age. We were amazing. Small stealing from his dad when that mischief. I had it too. Stealing my dad's pennies from like the jars that he had and quarters. I definitely went for the silver. Whenever that ice cream man would come, I went for the silver and hoped that the ice cream man was still in the neighborhood before he'd go. Mr. Myrtle, the owner of the beast, the mean old man. We all have that preconceived notion where we think that certain elders are mean. And when you grow up and you actually talk, you get to know them, you're like, wow, that person's not that bad. That's how that is. And that was pretty cool. If, he was played by the great James Earl Jones. Man, I definitely appreciate James Earl Jones. He's amazing. He was Mufasa. He was Darth Vader. He also his voice acting skills are amazing. King Jaffa. In Coming to America. And here in the Sandlot, he was everywhere in your childhood. There is no doubt about it. Like, you got to give him props. And so I definitely appreciate James Earl Jones. So, doing things without your parents is something that came to mind because the kids, they would do, like, there's a scene where they were playing baseball at night underneath the 4th of July fireworks. And, man, like, me and my gang when we were growing up, dude, we would play manhunt at like 11 o'clock at night and just like run around the apartment complex screaming, running behind people, the first floor windows, because there are 2 stories and then there are 1 stories. We were running behind people's 1 floor, like the back part, like their bedroom windows, like screaming, laughing. Man, it was crazy. So those were my notes based on the Sandlot. So just with and I'll get into the comparison and like doing comparisons and contrasting the two. But I do want to get through some of the notes because maybe you have something that you want to contribute to. So, the Mighty Ducks Disney movie, there was some cursing in it, believe it or not. So, a little bit of cursing. I don't know, and Disney didn't catch it. This movie was unbelievably difficult to watch. I ended up having to watch it on YouTube, and I was scared because like the first, like from minute 6 to 8, the volume went down, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't watch it. There's no way I can do this episode. And then the volume kicks back up. So if you can watch The Mighty Ducks, watch it. Try to watch it. It's a great movie. And I needed a lot to watch it. I didn't want to be jaded when because I watched The Sandlot first. The Sandlot, I found The Sandlot via, I believe via, not Netflix. No, I found The Sandlot via YouTube as well. So, because Netflix had taken it off, and only Sandlot 2 was on Netflix. And I was like, who the heck wants to watch Sandlot 2? Like, it was really bad. I watched like 7 minutes of it, and I couldn't. So, before I get into The Mighty Ducks, I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll come right back. You're listening to the Outlet Podcast. Connect and recharge. All right, and we're back. So, The Mighty Ducks, Disney movie, a little bit of cursing, starring Emilio Estevez. Now, man, when I first started watching this movie, it was it was so slow, and I was like, I'm not gonna get through this. This is so terrible. Let me get through the notes before I even start comparing and contrasting. So it starts off with Gordon Bombay as as a like a successful lawyer. He's edgy and you can't stop him. There's a scene in the beginning where he's a kid and he misses a penalty shot, so he's scarred for life. Missing the penalty shot in the championship game. He gets, his crazy tiger blood, his crazy tiger blood brother, Charlie Sheen, because Estevez is a part of that family. You saw it in the acting, so I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's so Charlie Sheen, tiger blood crazy. You saw it in the acting. He has to do court appointed community service for drinking and driving, and I'm going through these fast. The kids don't know, like, he meets up the kids and he's like very antagonistic. He kind of hates them. He's like, he doesn't really care why he's there. The kids don't know how to play at all, and they don't seem to care. They're really, really bad, and I really hated their beginning because they looked like street urchins. They looked so rough. It was not funny. I was like, man, these guys like were they as bad as I thought they were, or because like I wasn't thinking back. My failure was that I wasn't thinking back to their purple, yellow, and green Mighty Ducks era. They weren't even the Mighty Ducks; they were the Ducks. I wasn't even thinking about them at that point. Like, I was thinking about Mighty Ducks 2 and Mighty Ducks 3 when they were kind of grown already and they'd already, adjusted, like, and changed. But so these kids were really bad, and they were like super ghetto, Philadelphia ghetto, like not downing. I grew up pretty ghetto myself. I used to walk outside barefoot, and everyone told me, "Don't walk." My parents, "Don't walk barefoot. Don't walk barefoot." People are, the car. You're stepping on engine oil. You're standing. I was like, whatever. Like, it would be raining, and I would play in the puddles, and I would look at the color. I was like, why is it? There would be purple, yellow, green. All these different wavy colors in the water puddles, and that was because that was the engine oil. That was the engine oil that was actually, that was the engine oil that was, like, there. So, but you're a kid. You don't really care. And these kids really didn't care. They didn't know how to play hockey at all. So, Gordon Bombay, like, he's very, like, he's trying to get him, like, he's trying to coach, but it's like very haphazard. He does not care at all. Even the second game, like, in the second game, he teaches them to cheat and to fall, and that causes Charlie to quit on the team when he doesn't fall, and the parents get on the ice. I'm not paying this for you to teach my kid to be a cheater, blah blah blah. So that's how that went. It was all right, but this movie needed so much more to get off of the ground. Like, maybe it's because I wanted it to grow faster. Like, I could understand. Like, it seemed that I was trying to focus this movie on the kids when it was mostly about Gordon Bombay. That stings, because that's what the movie kind of was focusing on. Gordon Bombay, him going through certain changes and being inspirational to these kids, being inspiring to these kids. So I did not, So Gordon Bombay meets his old coach, and he's still coaching, and he's immediately becomes the villain. It is a really Disney movie. There's a lot of clumsy, crazy kid scenes where it's like, oh, okay, I get it. The kids are like outwitting the parents or the old adults. All right, fine. Like I guess when I was growing up, that was cool. So Hans is like the sage. Now, if you were to ask me, who was more in like who was better, James Earl Jones as Mr. Myrtle, I believe his name was, or Hans, I'd have to say Hans was more sage like because the way he assisted Gordon Bombay to change and to stop trying to make it about winning, and he taught the kids to have fun. So that's what, yeah, that's what he did. I mean, I loved James Earl Jones in his role because it seemed that he changed things up. Like the kids came in, they were sorry. They're like, you know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about your fence. He's like, oh, and uh, he was like, he was misunderstood, misinterpreted. If you ask me, I'd always go with James Earl Jones. That sweet old man. I'd man, he can coach me any day. But in that respect, who is a better sage, wise old man? And I guess you have to give it to Hans for how influential he was to Gordon Bombay. So, like one of the main phrases was, teach those kids to fly, because of the ducks. Well, actually, he tells them teach them to fly, but he didn't know about the duck name coming out. Like that was before they were actually named the Ducks. The movie got better 30 minutes into it after they got their gear. After the kids, um, Gordon Bombay's, the head of that law firm that he's working for, after he gives them the money for the team, that's when the movie got better. You see, various training montages there was a musical montage that stunk, that was garbage. It's like, oh my gosh, you just put that for fluff. There was some cool training montages, like hitting instead of using a puck, you use an egg to pass the egg. I was like, okay, I get it. That's pretty cool. Non-conventional coaching. There you go. What was funny, I paused the movie, started laughing because Gordon's old coach, who's the coach of I think the Hawks, that they're the evil team. He's like Bombay, you're not a has been, you're never was, and he walks away, and I'm like, Gordon Bombay is a freaking he's a freaking lawyer with a 30-0 record of winning in the court. Like he's a legit lawyer, and you're calling him never was, dude. You can't tell me jack. I'm successful in life. You're still coaching kids. You're still coaching kids, dude. At your age, you're still coaching kids in what was it? A kids hockey league. You're the coach. Congratulations. What are you doing with your life? You know what? I'm Emilio Estevez. I'm handsome as all get out. I'm playing a successful lawyer in this movie. You can't tell me nothing. You can't tell me anything. I got a 30-0 record in the courts. I got pulled over for drinking and driving, and guess what? All I got to do was community service for a little. So, yeah, my life is looking pretty good right now. I don't really care. You know what? It's the 80s. I'm going to smoke. Yeah, whatever. When he said that, you're not a has-been, you're a never was. I was like, dude, whatever. You're not getting my feels. Not for that. He's a lawyer. Whatever. So, what this movie definitely picked up after they got their equipment, there's not a lot of the development in the stories was not, it wasn't profound. It was like, all right, you need to have some confidence in yourself. Then there's a scene of that person having confidence in themselves. So, Yeah, it's like, I mean, you're tying up loose ends, but you're making an ugly knot. It's yeah. So there's a couple of that, but I found myself getting more and more like the adrenaline started surging, hardcore, when I was watching this as the Ducks were winning, as they were going forward. I was like, wow, quack, quack, quack. And I was thinking back to my childhood and my sports days. I'm like, yeah, yes, yes. So because you wanted to see the Ducks win, you definitely did. Um, the flying V, do the flying V. Like the kids, like they had these two kids that did ice skating, and so this one girl was like pirouetting, um, yeah, and she scored a goal, and the triple deke? I think they call it the triple deke, where this guy Charlie scores the last goal in the penalty, like it's a penalty shot, and he scores it. Um, like the movie ends with Gordon Bombay trying out for the minors, and I guess he has a relationship with Charlie now, and the mother, and Charlie's mom, because there was this whole you're investing. I really did enjoy the relationship that Gordon Bombay had with Charlie. It was like a father that, you know, because Charlie and his mom, she left her husband because of abusive relationship. So he was stepping into this role, and she was like trying to remind him, hey, you just can't get in our lives and get out, because you can do whatever to me, but this is my boy, And I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. That's pretty, that's pretty deep. So, all right, now is the hard part, comparing and contrasting the movies. The team was the Sandlot gang was already there. They didn't add any towards the end of the movie of the Sandlot. They didn't add any players. Like kids weren't like coming in and being a part of the new gang when the old ones were going. They just kept on playing. So the difference is that these kids, like they were close. They were close. But as their skills go for the games that they were playing, Sandlot has it. Those kids were already like, they knew how to play. These kids needed to learn how to play. The Mighty Ducks, they had a coach who, okay, he had to grow up too. He had to grow up also with everything that he was going through, and the kids seemed like they were mostly established. They just needed a little bit of fine tuning, and they couldn't be finely tuned if it weren't for Gordon Bombay, having to deal with his past. So, in that regard, they're kind of two separate entities. They're very different, but I'd have to give it to the Sandlot because the kids were how they were. They were the ones out there playing. They were the ones who were investing. Like there's a scene where Benny's like, "All right, we need to go. Everyone, start looking for bottles and cans so we can recycle, so we can get some extra cash to buy a ball." Apart from Emilio Estevez going to the lawyer, like the head of the law firm, and asking him for money. So they were very self-sufficient, these kids in the Sandlot, and I think that's what I liked. Apart from the kids in the Sandlot, they were close. They were thick and thin, but I can say the same about the kids from the Sandlot. What I prefer the Sandlot, the story, because it was deeper. It just got really deep, with all of the aspects, and while one was more about, Smalls ended up learning to have friends. That was great, and the problem that they encountered. See, in the Sandlot, there was just a bunch of small problems, and like just different accounts, but they all melded so well together. Apart from the Mighty Ducks, who it took a lot. If you watch Mighty Ducks, you're gonna notice it is slow, and it's very Disney stereotype. But when you watch it, it's like, okay, like once they get those uniforms, things start to click, and it clicks hard and fast, and you go. Apart from the Sandlot, where okay, the biggest issue is the Beast, but it's fool's gold. It's a philosopher's stone. It's not what you thought it was, and so it kind of flatlined in that regard. I was like, oh, okay, I get. Oh, well, that's what they're trying to do. But the point of the Sandlot wasn't to, you know, it's just to bring back that simple time and that simple era. So I did love that. I definitely love that they were trying to bring everything home, and it was just a story to tell. It wasn't something crazy elaborate. That's why Sandlot 2 and 3 are probably garbage, because number 1 was just a compact, concise movie of great moments, like great tales. But the Mighty Ducks, man, they did great. Like, I will say that. I will say that the Ducks have it when it comes to sequels. Even the Anaheim Ducks, they might be. I think they're bringing back the Mighty Duck, like the symbol, on one of their alternate team jerseys. I think they're doing that this year. So, man, you have that. Like, so for as far as story goes, the Sandlot is concise in all in one, but you're looking at the Mighty Ducks and it spread, like, it just spread so well over 3 different movies, and you just bought into it because these kids, they were brought back for the second and third movies. I loved it. I was like, man, the camaraderie, the fellowship, I love that about the Mighty Ducks, man. So here's the hard part. What team am I on? What team are you on? Let me know. Facebook.com / Outlet Podcast. On Twitter at Outlet Podcast. You can visit my blog because I'm updating that with just different stuff. I'm trying to avoid choosing. If I were to be honest, man, okay. If I were to be honest with myself, I would say I'm a Sandlot kid. I'm a Sandlot kid who wished he was on the Mighty Ducks. Oh, you're a cop-out. Oh, whatever. Man, there's always that one guy. But I think that's honestly how I think I was. I'm a Sandlot kid. Because sometimes Sandlot kids don't have it all. But the fact that they don't have it all, they have everything. When you realize it, you don't need the most expensive equipment. You don't, as long as you have each other, that's what matters most. And when the last few scenes in the movie, the kids, they're in a line, and the line starts to fade. They're in a line, and their images start to fade because the guy who Smalls, he's narrating it. Mind blown. He's narrating it, and he starts saying, this guy went on to do this. Wendy Peppercorn and Squints got married and have 9 kids. Yes. So they, they were summing. I think that's symbolic of how it is when you're growing up, because sometimes your friends just fade away, and you wonder, where they went. Now, you today social media, you don't have that. Today you can catch up with everybody. But there's some people who slip through the cracks that even social media can't get. But when I think back at all the kids I knew, and I was like, man, I wonder what they're doing. You leave it. The mystery is what is beautiful. Like, and even though you might know a little bit, like they would say that yeah ended up being the first to create bungee jumping. Like, even though you know a little bit, it's that lore, it's that legend that carries on. And that's what's missed. That's that cool aspect of life. Today you don't have it because you can catch up on everybody. You're like, oh man, what is that person doing today? Oh, Facebook, Twitter, there they are. That's what they're doing, and it's just not cool. It lacks that imagination, and that's what definitely the Sandlot brought. A lot of imagination, and you saw it at the end of the movie where Smalls is narrating. He's the announcer for, I guess, the Dodgers, and Benny the Jet Rodriguez, boom, he's there. He steals third base and makes it home, and he gives him the thumbs up. And side note, the guy who played Benny the Jet Rodriguez for the Dodgers in that movie was the actual kid's older brother. So the guy who played Benny the Jet, or Benny Rodriguez, the kid, his older brother was the older version in that, in that movie. So that was pretty cool. I'm gonna go online to see if Benny the Jet if he was a real player. So I want to do that. I got to do that because I didn't do that yet. So I was definitely a Sandlot kid. Team Sandlot. I want to say I was a Mighty Duck. I'm kind of envious of the Mighty Ducks because, wow, why am I a little envious? Like, I mean, I guess they had it all because they had each other, but I would say the friendship was more intimate with the kids from the Sandlot. I mean, the Mighty Ducks, they were all friends, and they learned to get along with one another. Sorry about that. But yeah, I think where I grew up, with whom I grew up, we were all on the same page. We knew who we were, and we stuck together without needing any adult supervision, like Gordon Bombay having to come in and save the day. Oh, so you guys, I'm a Sandlot. What are you? Let me know. Facebook.com/Outlet Podcast. Here, let's. Facebook.com/Outlet Podcast. You can also find me on Twitter @Outlet Podcast. Email me any questions, comment, or concerns, anything personal. If you like for me to do a special episode, let me know. outletpodcast@yahoo.com. Listen to all the different sources on Stitcher Radio, on iTunes. Search me in the podcast section. On Soundcloud. Download the app and listen to me there. YouTube. You can find stuff on YouTube as well. And on Periscope, that's where I'll be doing some live stuff. Because Periscope is pretty cool. Everybody, you're listening to the Outlet Podcast. I'm a Sandlot kid. Connect and recharge.